Welcome back. In this video, we're going to prepare our brush size selector, and we're going to see how to use DisplayMetrics, because what we want to do is we want to be able to set the size of our brush. And in order to achieve that, well, we need to use dimensions, because this will look different on different devices, and we want to make sure that it's going to look more or less the same. So inside of our drawing view, let's go ahead and create a new function, and I'm going to put it right here just before the inner class. So at the very bottom, I'm going to now go ahead and create a new function, and I'm going to make it public, or I don't add the private keyword because I want to be able to use it in the main activity. So that's why I'm not going to add anything before that, no access modifier. So I'm going to call this method setSizeForBrush, and what it's going to require is going to be the new size that I want to use, which will be of type float, because values on the screen are using floats. So now I'm going to set the mBrushSize, which is this value that we created here, which is a variable for stroke brush size to draw on the canvas, and we set that to 0 and made a float out of it. Okay, and now we're going to use that and override it with this new size. But unfortunately, I cannot just say new size, because I want to take the screen dimension into consideration. In order to achieve that, I can use the typed value class, which contains the apply dimension method. And this requires a couple of values. So an integer, a float, and the metrics. So the unit that we want to use, then the value, as well as the metrics. So if you want to know more about it, apply dimensions, you can see it here, unit, float, display metrics. So let's go ahead and use the typed value dot complex unit DIP as the first value here, and that will be our unit. Okay, so the unit that I want to use is in fact this static value complex unit DIP, and this will then allow me to make sure that it's going to take the density pixels into consideration. Then it needs to have the value, so the new value that we are going to pass to it, which will be our new size. And then finally, it needs to know the metrics. So here you see display metrics. Okay, so where do I get them from? Well, I can get them from resources.displayMetrics. Okay, so this will basically do the trick, and we'll set the new brush size to be a value based on our new size that we're passing, but adjusted to the metrics of our display. So adjusted to the size of our display, so that it's going to be proportionate to the size of the screen. Because this line here has this certain thickness, but on a bigger screen it will look different, right? We want to adjust this thickness to the screen that is the game is running on. And then I need to set that for my draw paint. So my mDraw paint stroke width now needs to be used, well, using our mBrush size that we just set up. So now inside of our drawing view, we are setting up the brush size, and that is here. Okay, so we can get rid of this. So inside of the setup drawing method, we are setting up the brush size, and we don't need it anymore because we're going to set that in our main activity. So let's go over to the main activity and actually call this method that will allow us to set the brush size based on the dimensions that we're using. And therefore, I'm going to require the drawing view that I want to use. So here I will need to get the drawing view using private var drawing view. So I'm going to call it. It will be of type drawing view, which is our class that we just created. And I'm going to make it a nullable and set that to null at this point. And then we can go ahead and set that drawing view to be found by its ID r.id.drawingView, which is this XML drawing view that we created. Because you see, we are using our own view. So we're not using a text view or button view or whatever. We're creating our very own view, which is this drawing view that we created, right? And we're inheriting from view or this classes and everything from view. So that's why we can use it in XML. But in order to now access it in our main activity, we still need to use find view by ID, or data binding would have worked alternatively as well. And now we can set the size for the brush, let's say 20 to float. And this will give us the brush size of 20, which will look slightly differently. So let's check it out, and you see it's a lot thicker because now it's taking the size of the screen into consideration. And also because I have the size here now for my drawing view, I don't need to set that in here. So I commented this line out because otherwise I would override it, and that's not necessary. All right, so that's pretty much the preparation for the next video, because what we want to do is we want to be able to set the size for the brush. And in the next video, we're going to be able to select the brush size from a custom dialog that we're going to create. So let's check that out in the next video.